Hello everyone, I'm here at Tech Motorsports, and today I'm working on my father-in-law's Dodge 2500. It's a 2004, and what I'll be doing is the dash. It's been cracked for many years. It's been bugging him as the years progressed to where he was able to finally find the actual replacement without having to go to the OEM to the Dodge and get him. So let's take a look at the dash, and let's see what we can end up making this thing look a tad bit better. So here we are, there's the dash. The dash section is in two pieces. You have this whole piece that actually sits above the gauge cluster that goes all the way across. And then you also have that back section, which is alongside the windshield. All the way right there, you can see that crack there. So that's the items that we'll be replacing. So let's take a peek at the nice new items. All right, here's the new section. This is the piece that goes leans towards the windshield, and then we actually have the dash portion. It's a two-piece system, and one thing that you can look at is when you get one of these pieces, you could actually see exactly which screws, where the screws lay, and what items you have to remove, the gauge cluster, to be able to get to those screws. So every single one of these tabs right here, there's a screw that goes there. Then you have to take, I think that's the glove box section here. That was where the glove box goes, if I'm not mistaken. And when you take the actual panel off, then you'll be able to see where more of the screws are at. So that will be a good help if you do decide to do this on your own. And then this piece here, you flip over, you can see how it comes off. So you can see that those kind of like push in and then they clamp down. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let's start ripping this thing apart. Kind of hope my father-in-law didn't want this as a memento. So now what the screws are going to be, they look like they're going to be Phillips, and also a hex screw, which is 8mm, so, or a 5/16. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that and start taking, just removing the bolts, and then I'll start removing this item here, the radio area, and also the dash cover to be able to access the screws that we saw earlier on. Okay, so some of the screws are 5/16, and there's a couple that is 9/32, and then I've got my little ratchet here with the Phillips on there, because the way the windshield is this and the screw, it's very tough to get into that area. So yeah, I'm gonna get to it. So on the sides here, there's a plastic, I forget what those corrugated kind of pieces in there, so you'll need one of these to be able to pull it out. All right, there's not one on the passenger side. We're gonna play it safe and drop the glove box just to make sure, so I can get a better look at this piece. I don't want to break anything. All right, so these tabs right here for the glove box, you just got to kind of push them down. This is the rubber stoppers, and you just got to clear this area right here, and then the glove box will technically drop, and it hinges on these two hinges here, so out. Then now it enables us to start taking the screws out. Looks like we're going to start branching over. I do see a screw here, and this is pretty much going to take this whole housing here. And once we probably get the section underneath the steering wheel down, we'll probably see another screw. All right, so I did look underneath here. All the screws underneath the panel underneath the steering wheel is just to remove the bottom section. So I put that back up, but I was able to get my hands underneath and start prying off this, because all these are just snap-ons. And I understand this is the hardest part of it all, is just, to be honest with you, knowing if it's snap-on or not, and to snap something off and then break it. But lo and behold, bam-o! She's out. As you can see now, we can start seeing all these screws that we could take off, and we still have to take this section off right here, which these are going to be, I think it's still going to be the same screw, 8 mil or 9/30 seconds. The light panel here, we could just leave hanging. So that should access us pretty much the rest of these screws. We could probably leave the housing up top just there, as the screws that we'll have to take off might be for the actual cluster itself. So let's start taking some of these off, and then we'll figure that part out. That's my father-in-law's notes. I don't know why he likes to write it down to remind himself, but that I'm his favorite son-in-law. I don't know why he can't remember that. Now, as you can see, those were snap-ins. I was able to look underneath and see the snap ones, so I got them out. You will have to take this off to get to the screws for the gauge cluster. Okay, so what I realized, I was trying to pull this off, and I still had one screw down here that I missed, so I took that off. And now I was able to get this out a little bit, and then I did find one more screw here, here, and here. So you kind of need to take this down, but you don't have to take it completely out. But let me see if this screw, which is another one that I missed, takes it all out. And it looks like it doesn't, but it gives it a little bit more freedom. So yeah. Okay, so I was able to keep this in place where the airbag goes, or behind the airbag, and I just kind of pried it, and they came out because they were rubber. They just kind of fit into place. So when I put it back on, I just gotta make sure each clip falls into place. And then I got to take the A-pillar off, and little plastic piece right into where the screw is at, and just kind of pry it open. And all you have to do is just pull on it with a little love, though. So here's the vent, and what the heck? Oh, that's the back side. So these were the screws that I have to transport these air vents to the new one. So you do have to take the clip off here, as you can get to it here, but it's probably best just to take it off in one piece like this. There's pieces of the ducting that are screwed to the back of this plate. Oh well. Okay, so once you could kind of pry it up a tad bit, that's when you should be able to get the vent tubes down here underneath the dash. You have in the center, you got two of them, one for each side. And at this point, like I stated, some of the stuff is already breaking. Oh my goodness, what a mess. Okay, so when I was taking the old dash out, when it broke into a million pieces, what ended up happening was on, let's see if you can see it, on the vent here behind the gauge cluster, air vent here, here, and right there. Each one of those has a screw that screwed onto the big plate down here. Now, I called my father-in-law. I let him know where I was at, what's going on, and did he want me to remove the whole entire dash assembly just to get to those 4 screws, which at that point I thought it was 2, but it is 4. or would you just want me to not install the screws? His biggest worry was it going to vibrate? To be honest with you, there is a big hole around it, so there's going to be very minimal vibration, but they are secured down. But to get to do this correctly and put those four screws in, you will literally have to pull the whole dash assembly and put the bigger plate on, not that small piece that goes back towards the windshield, but this big piece here. And then you would have to screw it from the underneath of the dash and screw those 4 bolts in. So we spoke about it. He's okay with me not putting those 4 screws in. So if you guys feel froggy and think it will be fun to rip this whole dash assembly out, you go for it. But thank goodness my father-in-law understands what the dealie is, and he's okay with just leaving those 4 bolts on. So I'm gonna leave them off. I got the approval, and yeah, so now let's start the installation. Okay, so I had to take the dash back out, and what I'm having issues with is the side vent tubing. It's these little ones right here. So what I'm doing now is the one that's on this side, which is for the driver's side, that one is not screwed in. This one is screwed in here. So that one I put in place because the tube actually goes behind the other vent. So it's a little tougher to try to get it in with very little room to get your hands in there and stuff. So I'm gonna try to do it that way. And then once I get that in, I just got to get it to slip into this joint. So this joint, it should be easy to slip in, but we'll see. Okay, so I got the dash in. So I'll be honest with you, it was a pain in the ass. I tell you what, it's a pain in the ass. I had to do a little bit of finagling on, and technically what I end up doing at the end is I removed one more bolt. It's a 9/32 bolt, and the bolt that I removed was the vents for here for the side. On each one, what I end up doing is I removed it from the one on this side because it is screwed on the back of this. When I did that, it gave me the availability to move it in place easier when it was down there, and I was able to connect all the hoses underneath. So right now, the hoses, technically, if you remove the radio, you can get to them right here. And those are the round tubes, and they could slide into place. So technically what you need to do is have them off, forget about that screw, pretend you lost it. Yeah, that's a good one. Pretend you lost the screw. And you put those 2 in there, and then that's when you get the dash and you start laying it in place, and then you could squeeze those in there. You have to make sure you get this section kind of really close, because this will hold you up just a little bit so that these hoses up here can seal. So right now she is sealed, so technically I have 5 screws that I did not install back in there, but it is air vent. That should be fine. I'm sure my father-in-law would be okay with it as long as the dash doesn't look cracked. So, but we will soon see. So right now I'm just gonna go in and start screwing everything all back together, getting all this back in place. I did already fit my air vent already here. So all I gotta do is just go in through some screws and then just put everything all back together. So, whew, what a job. Oh, I did fail to mention that right here in this section here, there is a pilot, like a nipple or just a pilot. Well, there's a pilot hole in this casing, and then the actual insert is on this piece. So you just got to make sure that when you are putting these back together, that you do bring it down and push it in, so that way everything slides into place. That will also help assist seal those 2 tubes that are behind the radio right here. So don't forget, it's in this area right here, okay? Okay, so I just went through everything, make sure I had everything there, everything tight, and the last item is the cover. And it should be quick and easy, like I stated before. They slide towards the windshield here with these clips. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they just snap down towards in the center. So the finishing touch. So I just went and tested the AC system and the defroster, so I was able to get air out of all ports, the 4 on the dash, that is for the windshield, and then 1 on each side for the driver and the passengers for the door glass. So everything's fine, radio works as well, so everything was connected. Yes. So, so yeah, again, just to summarize, there are 5 bolts that I did not install, did not screw down. And those 5 bolts are technically going to be each vent that are for the defroster. That's 1, and then, or that's 4, and then 1 for the actual vents on the side for the window for the defroster as well. One of those, because all it is just one of those screws are not in as well. So 5 screws, and yeah, she's all together, and again, what a pain in the ass. What a pain in the ass, but she's all done, so yay. Again, guys, I appreciate you watching the video. Like always, like and subscribe, and hope to see you in the next one.